Do you think it was a duende?
The person I was with was from Central America. So I think it's something that maybe he picked up. No, I don't think it was a duende. I think it was an evil entity
Entity that followed
that
him.
follows him around.
Wow.
Because what a coincidence that he would see things in different, wherever we would be.
Hi, my witches and norms. Welcome to WitchDarkTales podcast. We're your host. I'm Moon Witch.
There we go.
And today's guest, we have Sophia.
Hi guys, how are you guys
Yay.
doing? Thanks for having me back
Of
again.
course.
Welcome back.
Now, within this podcast, we're going to be listening to her share her scary stories and paranormal experiences with us. But before we do, viewers' discretion is advised. Everything we talk about is just pure speculation and allegedly. And also, I do have to mention, audio listeners and viewers' discretion is advised. But with that being said, let's get straight into the podcast. Just popping in, I want to say thank you all for joining our WitchDarkTales podcast family. We are already on season 3. I totally forgot to add that within this video. I want to say thank you. We would not be here without y'all. The fact that we are going viral on TikTok, Facebook, and now Instagram. We hit 10K on Instagram. And then we hit 2K on Facebook. On TikTok, we're at 34K. On YouTube, we're at 2K. And it's just overwhelming. But within this podcast for season 3, we're going to start having guests. I know a lot of people been asking, why don't we? Well, now we have a chance to, right? And this is for my Fresno people. You guys just been amazing, showing us love. Yeah, we get those evil comments. We're not going to respond to them, but never would we ever even imagine that our podcast would be taking off. We talk about Fresno places, haunted histories, and it's just it's a blessing. That one little niche will get you somewhere. Our niche is Fresno, and now we're moving our stories and finding other haunted places within California. I just can't wait for the journey to where it's going to take us. But I want to say thank you guys for joining our podcast family. And yeah, thank you. And thank you to Miguel, and thank you to the future guests, So let's get back into the program. Bye. I asked you to be on the podcast is because we're going to be telling haunted and scary stories with other guests as well. So you're our first one.
Thank you.
Yay.
Thank you.
Now, have you ever had any experiences?
You know what I have? The sleep paralysis. I would have that. And being so young, I thought at that time, I thought only older people got it. And I would dream of what we call Duendes.
Yeah.
And I don't know why.
Now, for the viewers and audio listeners, if you want to tell them what duendes are.
A duende is a mythical creature in a lot of Latin communities, not just Mexico. Well, you know what? I think it's like worldwide. It's not just Mexico, but a lot of people have it in Mexico. It's a little duende they're like a little doll, and you're supposed to treat it like a little person. You're not supposed to, there's rules to this now, you guys. So you're not supposed to give them money because they get greedy.
Yeah.
You guys know that? I don't know if I could say that, but there was a TikToker here, Central Valley, allegedly was talking about that, and I don't know if that made her rich because she has money now, So
we're not obviously
I'm not gonna say her name,
right.
But she is from the Central Valley.
But you're gonna tell me after.
Yes, of course.
Okay, because I want to know.
So she did this, and if you give them gold, you're just supposed to give them candy to make them sweeter. But if you give them gold, they start money. What does money do? Money calls greed, and these will start getting greedy and greedy. And then if you don't provide, and if you don't, I don't know how to say it in English, pero si no cumples con las promesas, if you don't comply with your promises that you gave him, it's going to go downhill. That there's a gentleman at one of the remates or the flea markets here in the Central Valley that sells them.
Oh, wow.
And
we only have we had 3, but now the Sunnyside one's gone.
2.
So we have the one at the fairgrounds and the cherry auction.
Cherry auction.
So he's working.
Girl, and that's what I heard. Hearsay. I go to Tijuana a lot, and there's a mercado, and it's called Mercado de las Artesanías. I asked because I was curious.
Of course
And
you
I said,
did.
hey, I said, you guys don't have a duende around here? And she said no, that they didn't. But I did get a little statue of a troll. It wasn't like a little doll. It was just a statue.
But was it really a duende or was it just like a figurine?
It was a figurine. Mine was just a figurine.
Like to represent the duende.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I do have a little well in my house too.
A what?
A well.
A well?
Yeah, well, you know, the water thing.
The water thing. That
Oh, snaps. And do they live around there?
now.
What do you mean now? So you've seen them before?
I've seen things that have happened at my house when I first moved in, when I was living with somebody, you know. But I don't know if that person had a bad spirit.
Spirit following him.
That we would hear footsteps, you know, at 4:00 in the morning, like literally right. My house is small. There's no way that you're not going to hear footsteps.
Right. Like,
you know, just like walking. And then he also said he'd heard somebody call his name. When we first moved in there, I think we were in there about, say, maybe 2 weeks. He went out with his friends, which is fine, you know. I was home alone. Oh no, I was home with my girls. They were a lot younger, you know, probably fifth grade, fourth, fifth grade. I was watching the news. I have the front door, the back door. Literally heard somebody go and try to open the door. And I'm like, what the heck? And I looked, there was nobody there. Honestly, I called 911 because I was so scared. Because I had heard, you know, when you move from a different, you're from your comfort zone and you move to a different location,
Mm-hmm.
you don't know what to expect. And you've heard different stories. Oh, you know, there was a lot of
Stuff happening.
Stuff happening around this area.
People from back then want to come back and find something, maybe.
Find something, or they want to scare you. The neighbors want to scare you. I didn't know.
You called the cops?
I did. So I didn't know that when you call the police and it's a disturbance, they don't park in front of your house. They park on the side and then they walk over.
Really?
Yeah. And so I was looking through the window, you know, I went to my girls' room because obviously my girls were little and I was scared. As a mama bear, you protect your kids.
Mm.
And I looked out and finally he came out and then he knocked. I saw it was the police and he actually questioned me. He goes, well, what were you watching? And I said, I was watching the news. You know, I was watching the 11 o'clock news.
Right.
You know, and I was just scared, you know, but I did hear somebody either try to open it or scratch the door. It's crazy. But like I said, I don't know if the person I was with had something with him or the house. I don't think it's the house because we've been there. He's been gone for a while now, and it's calmed down. Okay. Well, there's nothing that we've heard now, you know. So I don't know. But that was my experience at the home I live at.
Do you think it was a duende?
I don't think it was a duende. I think it was an evil entity
that follows
him. Not me, but follows him around.
Wow. Because
what a coincidence that he would see things in different, you know, wherever we would be.
Off topic, because we're talking about duende. So there was a story in Porterville where this lady said she was with her kids walking into the house and she looked across from her because she lived in like a ranchos, I guess, or like in a house with like a farm with a barn, right? She looked back, she can see this little demon looking thing. And she said that it looked like a little troll. And when she looked at it, it smiled at her with like evil teeth and it had like blood.
Yeah.
And so she took the kids, and when she ran inside, she could see the duende. What is it called? The duende come towards her, and she closed the door and it disappeared. This happened in Porterville.
Wow.
Yeah.
Recently?
No, this happened years ago. I saw it on something about, I forgot the title. It was like most creature in United States or something like that.
Really?
Yeah.
From Porterville.
Link will be in the description box below.
Wow. Okay.
That's crazy.
First time I heard of that in the Central Valley.
Well, I have a cousin who actually experienced something around the, I think, Fig Garden area, you know, by Ashland and Urbanes.
You're in Fresno?
In Fresno, yeah.
Wow.
She said when she was small, you know, she would see duendes, you know, outside her window door. Wow. And pretty much those duendes that were trying to call her to come outside and play with them.
Miguel, my question, was she baptized?
She wasn't baptized. That's the thing.
What does that have to do with?
Well, from what I understand, if you're not baptized,
Mm-hmm.
they try to take your soul.
Is it soul?
They try to take.
Because I know if you're not baptized, you're more prone to getting more, paranormal stuff happening to you.
Well, I'm not baptized. Wow. Is that why a lot of things happen to me?
Yeah, at that time she wasn't baptized.
Wow.
But then she later on got baptized.
Got baptized.
But she said that was pretty much the only time that she experienced stuff.
Wow.
And this happened in Fresno.
In Fresno, yeah.
So if you guys are not baptized, get baptized. Because if not, a duende will get you.
Mm-hmm. Now, Moon, tell me you haven't heard that even if you go to the lake when you have a newborn baby and it's not baptized, you're actually not supposed to even take a newborn child to the water, to any water thing, lake, beach, river.
Why?
Because there's a lot of spirits, and they'll take
the innocence of the baby,
the innocence
of
the child.
I didn't know that.
I think it's kind of everywhere. We just hear it more. I know we do because, obviously we're Hispanics and
we're Latinos.
We're Latinos. I mean, come on, you guys. Who hasn't gone and got their cartas read?
Card read, palm read.
Sure.
Your palm read. Who hasn't gone and done that? I have.
I have.
I have. I'll be honest, I have. There was one here in Fresno that read them to me, and I was very shocked that he told me a lot of things, and I was like,
before we get into the story, we do have to mention we are not promoting any activity, right?
No.
Whether of haunted places or whether of card readings that we're going to talk about, we do not promote that we do not promote none of that. We are here just to share stories.
Our stories.
So you were telling us,
stories.
Yeah, your stories. Mm-hmm. So you were telling us that you had your card read?
I did. I had my cards read years ago. They read it to me. I paid, I think it was like $30, to be honest. She read it and she says, "No, your husband loves you." And I'm like, "Okay." And he's not having an affair. And I'm like, "Oh, okay. So what's going on?" I knew it was a lie because I got a lot of proof, So obviously he was having an affair because there was a child that came out of the relationship. So that's why I didn't believe in reading cartas and your palm read or, somebody reading your eyes. Because there's just different ways of people that could read you. So one day I was just like curious and I was walking down here in Fresno, Fulton. You guys familiarized with Fulton?
Yeah, Fulton Mall.
Fulton Mall. There's a lot of candle places and
botanicas.
Yeah. So I was there and I was like, let me go in here. This one guy. And like I said, I didn't say anything. I just was in there. He said he'd do the cards, take out 3, boom, boom, boom. You're doing this. You will get sick. And I'm like, okay. He goes, you're working at a place where there's a lot of bad people or a lot of bad things happen. I was working at a taco spot. Then he says something personal. I'd rather not say, but he told me something that only I knew. And he told it to me and I went kind of like, I will be getting sick. I had an illness and I did.
Oh my God.
And about but maybe 3 years later, I got sick I had cancer.
Mm-hmm.
So I had, I had cancer. So, and now you think about it, boom, 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 wow, that guy's hit it to the T. And now, I don't know if you guys noticed, there's a lot of tarot card readings on TikTok
FYP,
now. On your For You page, because I don't, obviously because I follow the paranormal, and that's probably why it pops up. So the other day I was just in there and I said, will I ever get love? Will I ever find love? And they said no. They told me no.
When you said that they told you that you would never find love, that kind of got me a little bit irritated because I do readings for myself, right? And this is not about me. But when I do tarot readings, I do want to know the answer, but I like to find out why the answer is. So instead of her saying, no, you're not going to find love, she could have been like, well, this is how you're not going to find love, but here's the way for you to go around it, to find love, because your future is not set in stone.
Right.
Mhm.
So whether they predict it, yes, but a tarot reader's job is to give you an outcome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're supposed to tell you yes or no, but they're supposed to help you work your way through that journey.
Mm-hmm.
And so for her to say you're never going to find a love, how come she didn't just give you another option and be
Right.
like, well, girl, instead of,
Do
'cause
this.
I see that you're always,
Working.
hiding or working.
Mm-hmm.
How about you take this day off and you're going to meet somebody that's a friend and that might turn out to be something more.
Right.
Not just be like, oh, girl, this is it. They're not supposed to tell you what you want to hear,
Right.
but still try to give you like, oh, you're going to be okay though.
Right.
Don't worry about it. You're about to hit. You're gonna be lonely for the rest of your life. You ain't gonna find no love. But guess what? You're gonna have your own company. You're gonna blah 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 blah. I'm like,
Right,
all right,
exactly,
thank you,
so.
thank you. I'll take that. I'll
Mhm.
take that.
So, anyways,
I have a question for you both. What is your favorite scary movie?
Mhm. I think it's the Halloween series.
Oh,
Michael Myers.
Michael Myers.
Mm-hmm.
Michael Myers.
Oh no, that's Jason.
That's Jason.
I think I would have to say Carrie. Is it Carrie? No. The
Well,
one
the
with
prom
the
lady.
car. No, the one with the car. Carrie.
Oh,
Not prom night.
no, I know what you're talking
It's
about.
it's the one with the old car
That's alive.
and it's alive. Yeah,
Yeah.
this is a movie from the 80s.
Christy?
Christine.
Christine.
Yeah,
There,
Christine.
Christine.
Gotta watch it. I like more older movies, so I would like Christine, Prom Night.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the original Prom Night.
No?
No? I'm a lot older than you guys, so
Okay, so the movie with Christine. What is that movie about?
Christine is it's a movie about an old car. It's a car's probably like probably an old Chevy 1950. So this guy, I don't know if he inherited the car. I think he probably inherited it from his family, his grandpa or something. He gets to keep the car, but that car is haunted, and he causes a lot of
Mischief.
mischief. Yes,
Yeah,
I
all
like him.
movies are
Mhm.
pretty good.
The older movies.
Yeah, I feel like the older movies are. Well, I haven't seen some, but
There's one, and I can't remember. It's about a house.
the Amityville Horror.
The Adam, yes, and that's based on a true story, guys.
Mhm.
I seen the one with Ryan Reynolds, so it's
That's
scary.
an old one, yeah.
Yeah, but I think it was a remake though at the time.
And what about not that it's our favorite, but that would be one of my favorite ones, Christine, and also Poltergeist. Remember, guys,
Poltergeist was good.
Poltergeist is really good,
Mm-hmm.
and Poltergeist has its story.
Somebody explain?
I think when they made that movie, I don't know if they made it in an area where there was Indian burial grounds.
Mm-hmm.
There's actually, I believe there was a scene. I don't know if it's Poltergeist 1 or Poltergeist 2. There's a scene that they made, and a helicopter fell, and the actors, they passed away too. But just look that up, Poltergeist.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know
all the
that.
different.
I think I only know of 3. I think somebody was, pew pew.
But I know the helicopter. So the
I know
the
that little
pilot
girl
and
passed
the two
away.
little girl, the 2 kids passed away, and then the little girl on Poltergeist passed away.
Mm-hmm.
So a total of 4 people.
So the movie Poltergeist is the first one, right?
Yeah.
So the movie Poltergeist, it's really a cursed movie where all the actors and
Something has happened to them.
that something bad
Mhm.
happened to them. I remember now after you said it, there was a scene where the actors was in a mud or in a water. It was all nothing but like dirt and puddle, and there was bones and stuff
Yeah.
sticking up. And then they said that it was real bones, right?
Mm-hmm.
So maybe it was cursed because they recorded it on that native or Indian burial ground.
Right.
Well, yeah.
Before we end the podcast, I do want to ask, what advice can you give to the viewers and audio listeners of paranormal, of like what to watch out for, the signs of something happening to you? Should they go to tarot readings? Should they believe that witchcraft is real? You know what I mean? Just anything for them to.
Just investigate and research before
Right.
you even try to do that stuff
Yeah.
because
Right.
you want to make sure you don't mess up on it
Right.
and you're doing the
For
correct thing
example,
to it.
that girl from here, from the Central Valley, she probably didn't do her research.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the outcome of it all.
That's that outcome.
And then for me, the only thing I can say is haunted places, scary stories, urban legends, and just everything in general that we talk about. We are sharing this knowledge not with just the people who don't believe, but for the ones that experience it and also for future generations to remember. But with that being said, Blessed be everyone. And thank you guys for listening and watching. And for Mondays, audio listeners. And for Sundays is visual on YouTube. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Y'all hear that?
Something's going on.